Hey party people, it's Cliff. So Sally Choi, the art director for Obsession, has been in the social media hot pages for getting paid less than $7,000 to work on one of the biggest films that has hit the theaters, and I think the film's made over $230 million so far. So here's the thing. We got to figure out what the it's not the problem, right? Like that's the whole story. That's what the news media wants you to hear. And because I'm kind of in it and understand this whole crazy industry, I want to give you a different perspective, because she's right. Like, getting paid $7,000 for a thing that costs 230 million sucks. But we got to backtrack and we got to figure out how all this project came to be. So 2025 Toronto Film Festival, that's when Obsession got premiered. And it was so well received and so well loved and so well everything that the Blumhouse guys decided to purchase the rights for it for I think it was like the deal was between like 11 and 15 million. And then through Blumhouse, it was supposed to go to a streaming website or a streamer. But because it didn't go to a streamer website, they wanted to have a theatrical release, a proper one, because the film was so good and there's so many cars coming. So we got to just like look out and make sure that we're, driving properly. There we go. But then Blumhouse, used all of their, resources, and I think Universal Pictures distributed it, and it went to theaters, and it did really well, and it's a hit. It's great. But you got to think about it. We got to start all the way before the Toronto Film Festival, right? Because it took 2 years. A film usually takes about 2 years to make. And per her budget, she was making $300 a day, and after taxes, it was something like $6,800, which is about 23, 25 production days. So as the art director, right? And the original film was budgeted, for under $1 million. And so what you have to look at is you have to look at this in pieces, right? Like, first, you get, like, a film is, let's pretend, and actually this is how it works, like a film, whenever you see a film or a TV show, a company is made in that film or TV show. A company is formed in order to make that thing, right? So with Obsession, a company was made, let's call it Obsession Inc., right? And, it gets a different title, so that way nobody knows what it is and all that stuff. But that company then has a budget. It has an operating cost, and that operating cost for this movie is like under $1 million, right? $700,000 for the whole thing, or however much it was. So now that company, what they do is that they hire employees in order to make a product, and the product is the final film, the movie, right? And so the company hires employees, cast, crew, actors, art directors, in order to get onto, in order to bring on the employees to make the product, to have them go into the Hollywood factory and make this movie. Now, with the movie happening, as a product, so the movie, basically what happens is that, the company spends all the money, which is like $700,000. It pays the employees to make the product, which is the movie. And then the product, you have to go and sell it. And going to sell that product, you go to the Toronto Film Festival. You go to film festivals, you pitch it out. You make all the deals. And so this person has a product, and then the deal gets made, and Blumhouse bought it, and then they distribute it, and then they get it that way. So here's the thing, right? As the first step, which is on the company, like when the movie is first getting made, you're contracted out for a certain number of days. You make the movie, you say great, and then you move on, right? You move on to the next project. And after the movie is finished being made, you as an employee or as a production member or a crew, depends on your contract, you're not entitled to whatever happens after that movie. because 99% of the time, like, that movie spends all its money and it never makes its money back, so then nobody bats an eye, right? It doesn't go popular. But because this one went popular, it's sort of like a pulling the wool over, pulling the wool back, pulling the curtain back, and in a way, like, you know, Sally Choi, or the art director, she was contracted to do the movie at a $300 a day rate, and got her money, and that's great. Now, there's two arguments to this, right? The first is that, oh, well, you should take this as a win, take this as a lucky streak, as being like, you are now the art director of one of the most popular movies of all time. Your career is set. You move forward. And the way that she did do it on Instagram was not criticized, but if you actually read the Instagram post, she is right, because in the movie world, like, you don't know what's going to be a hit, and if something is a big hit like that, work, even though you're working on a popular thing, like, work isn't guaranteed. I mean, remember The Life of Pi, the entire visual effects studio that went bankrupt, even though they won the Oscar for best visual effects? Like, and then there's the other case where, like, I think Keanu Reeves is known for taking half of his salary and paying his production crew, like, if something is very successful. And there's all kinds of stories like that. And what she did, and I think what people are missing, is that, yes, it is a discussion. There should be some sort of back end off of the movie proceeds in order to pay the people that made it. But at the same time, if we're talking about a movie as a company, and a company hires employees to make a product, and that product sells, and the product that you made costs $750,000, but you sell it for $235 million, that's on the company. Like, the company's owners are the ones who are making the money, and Blumhouse is supposedly going to be making $17 million on it, but he also had to come up with $17 million. That's the dumb shit you get in Hollywood right there. But the thing is that Blumhouse invested the money into getting the rights to distribute it in the theaters. So now you have to look at it from Blumhouse's point of view. It's like, well, we just spent $10 million because we really think this is a great idea, and I really think it's a great, concept. And now they have the rights to do what they bought the product for $10 million, and now they're reselling it to the rest of the world for a lot more. And it's one of those things where, if you track it from its point of origin through the different contractual processes and how it was released, and till today, it's very easy to lose the step between, oh, I made $200 million, and then this poor, art director only got $700,000 or seven grand. But the thing is like, at the very beginning, nobody knew that this movie was going to be a hit. Nobody knew what was going to happen. It's just another project that happens to be like an independent film, and there you go, And so, in a way, it's like, yeah, she did spark discussions, and I don't think she shot herself in the foot with her career at all, because, a lot of folks are not going to like pay attention to social media. And look, here's the thing, by the end of summer, nobody will care. Like, Obsession will go to, like, things, and then maybe somebody will say, oh yeah, the art director, like, they didn't get paid a lot. And that'll be the conversation that happens like 6 months from now. It's like, Obsession made all this money, but I heard they didn't pay their crew enough. And I remember it happened with Sausage Party, where the production company didn't pay the visual effects artists, to proper wages and all that. And the same thing with there was a small article about Spider-Man with Sony, that the Sony animation team didn't. There's some drama, like, according to that. But the thing is, like, with Hollywood, there's always a cat and mouse game between the talent, between the people that make the stuff and the people that don't make, or then people that, like, fund the money to buy the stuff, to, to distribute it and to do that sort of thing. Because when a movie gets made, like, the crew and the cast and crew are already paid for their work. And it's up to the individual cast and crew to determine their wages or determine their day rate so that the production can get made. And then it's up to the business and the studios to take on the risk of, do we want to invest more money into this project, because we believe in it, because it's a good story, because audiences will, love it and all of that stuff. And, that's the one. And look, if there's any justification for the reason why unions exist and should exist across all industries, it's because, it's because of this sort of discussion right here where, if a lot of money is made on a lucky hit, then the people that make the show should get involved. They should get their payout. But at the same time, like, let's say I'm a business investor and I have, $10 million and I wanted to invest $10 million into this product, and magically, because I saw something that nobody else did, and then I made the $230 million, like, that's a good business investment. And now, granted, like, Blumhouse, like, to quell all of this off, they could go and they could say, like, oh, well, we made all this money, this is great, like, we're going to back end and pay the crew and be good to them, and we want them to be brought on again to do all of our other movies, that are coming up. And generally what happens with directors and movies, right, similar to the Backrooms, Obsessions, like, those directors, they have their teams of people that they're bringing on with them to the next project, and then to the next project, and then to the next project. And so you really have this, and so that's why the discussion is so dynamic, is because on the one hand, it's like, I don't think her career is ended. I think her career is just getting started. And it depends, because somebody out there is not going to care about the Instagram stuff, and they're going to be like, hey, we have a movie, here's this art direction, we're going to pay you $500 a day, to come do it. And then she'll get the job that way. Now, at the same time, it's like, we don't know, does she want to be a director? Like, does she want to, like, step into a different role, like, within the film industry? Is it something that she's going to do in her passion? We don't know. She's a young kid, if you look at it online. And honestly, like, I'm an old guy, right? And I've had a couple of good hits in my career, which led me to my lengthy job in this industry. Funny I say that, because today is my last day at Sony Pictures and IPC after we got laid off a couple months ago. But I'm driving into work, and for me, like, I've done here are the shows, right? John and Kate Plus 8, yeah, terrible show, but we made 400 episodes of it, and I trained as an assistant editor to be on that show for a good number of years. That training led me to another show called 19 Kids and Counting, another terrible show, with all that drama, if you know that drama. Oh man, so much drama. But then, like, those shows led to more contacts, because this editor friend worked on the show, and this and that, and, like, the industry, like, revolves. And then there's, what else have I worked on? Leah Remini and the Scientology and the Aftermath, The Night Stalker, that's the big one you guys would know, Indian Matchmaking, the Shaquille O'Neal Power Moves, which is, I didn't really work on it, but I worked with the company that worked on the team, and I have nothing but praise for them. And nothing but, like, good things to say, because, in a way, it's like, yeah, you got to say good things, and you got to say, well, that's kind of just how it goes. But at the same time, it's like, hey, it would go a long way if you were to, it goes an incredibly long way if you were to say, hey, you've done some amazing work for us, we're going to give you a little something extra because this film has been blown up. And actually, that's what Sony has done with me. They have been really nice, and they've been really great, and I love them to death, because they gave me a really nice severance package after working 10 years for them and everything, and I got no qualms. So that's kind of the industry in a nutshell. It's that, it's like, she's right, like, the people that are making these movies are the talent. Evangeline Lilly, for Marvel, like made her Instagram post because Disney fired a whole bunch of animation people because of the AI stuff. And like in a way, I feel like where I work in is reality TV and documentaries, it's a little bit insulated from all the AI because that's reality TV. but look, at the end of the day, I think the reason that this is struck a nerve with everyone is because it is that what do you do, who because the business folks took the risk, the business folks put it in the theaters, and it could have made nothing. They could have lost 10 million on that purchase at the Toronto Film Festival, and then nobody would be talking about it. But because it's popular now, everybody's kind of like hindsight is 2020, as they say. So anyway, that's my take on it. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit more about this industry, because really it's all about the contracts, right? And I think that at some point you can leverage, like, she has this on her resume forever. She's the art director of one of these most powerful, biggest movie evers, and if she chooses to leverage that to go forward, then great, more power to her. Like, I don't think she ended her career. I think she is just starting. And it's great to have these discussions, because these discussions are what changes minds and what changes Hollywood to do something different. But anyway, that's my take on this whole thing. It's crazy. And there's my work, there's my building if you want to see it. Last day for me. It's funny. And I always say, your last day at your work is no problem at all, as long as you're prepared. And that's just what you got to do. And hopefully you're doing all right out there, and staying safe. But anyway, that's it for me after I make this turn into safety. But yeah. How do we end these damn things, right? I know how to end it as an editor. I don't know how to end it as a talent, but I guess just be good out there. See ya.